Propaganda. What's that? It's the echo of propaganda with propagandakings. I haven't done one of these for a while. So I was having to think the other day about the what I thought was going to be the impending war in Iran, which is really good that it wasn't. And I sometimes watch the old mainstream media just for a laugh, except for one person who's standing out lately, which is Tucker Carlson. And this guy he was just, I wouldn't say he's your typical Fox presenter, but he was, you know, he wasn't going outside the, you know, the corporate mainstream news narrative. But in the last year, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, he has been like an actual reporter. You know, like people who, when they go to school to say, I want to become a reporter, you go study. You had these ideas in your mind of the reasons why you wanted to be a reporter or work in the media. And they usually weren't to take backhanders and be told what to say. Same as a lot of politicians probably didn't get into politics to be told what to vote, which is what happens. And I thought about it, and I thought how Donald Trump actually respects Fox News. That's the one he watches. I've also thought in the last few years, since I was first living in America under a Democrat government and then later on under Trump, how things kind of in some ways changed for the better when it came to media. A lot of it because he was reversing the bollocks that Hillary Clinton spread. You know, where you beat your enemy, but that you're scumming by accusing them of doing what you're doing first, right? But he wasn't having any of it, and he pointed out exactly who the propagandists were, a lot more so than Fox, who used to be worse when Obama was in power. But now that Trump's in power, MSNBC and CNN are a lot worse. So, and anyone who can't see that, you've got your partisan, you know, brain shield on. I'm actually, I suppose, a traditional liberal, not a libtard, and I don't mind using that word. It's a great label the alt-right came up with, because it does actually explain exactly what some of these liberals are about. They're just absolute. They have cognitive dissonance. They have conflicting thoughts that don't make any sense. I don't like being around irrational people, but that doesn't mean that it's all on one side. There's a lot of people, as I said in a comment yesterday, it's not just liberals, it's not just Democrats and Republicans in America or any other country. It's not just the two main parties like Tories and Labour in the UK, or Australia, you've got Labour as well, I think, in New Zealand. It's also these other parties in it. So the Greens party has a lot of these libtard people in it. They have a lot of good people in it. So you can't, what I'm trying to get at is that you can't just say by association this guy's wrong. By association, don't listen to this guy because he's in the Greens party, or don't listen to him because he's in the Libertarian party. It really annoys me when people get dismissed. And this dismissiveness happens from all sides. And it's a true idiot who dismisses someone just because of their political affiliation, right? Although you're nearing that same level of idiocy if you have any partisan beliefs. I think this whole team mentality of everyone going, yay, go blue, go red, is where the whole problem comes in the first place. You should not be fanatical about politics. But let me get to my point about Tucker Carlson. So he's respected by what's his face, Donald Trump, and so is Sean Hannity, who, you know, I don't mind him. I can see why people hate him on the left. I don't think he's as bad as they make out. He is annoying how he's so smug and self-righteous, but that's quite common in politics and in media. It's always going to attract narcissists, right? Donald Trump's a narcissist, but I don't think he's nearly as bad as what people say he is. The people who called him a narcissist, like Hillary Clinton, for example, are even worse examples of that. Anyway, by him saying, and I don't know if you watched this, I'll try find the clip and put it on here, but the other day before we knew that the situation could be de-escalated. And I'll get to that later because we don't really know what happened. We'll probably never know what happened behind the scenes as to why this was de-escalated, thank God. But Tucker Carlson, instead of polishing Trump's ego and saying, "You gotta go, President," when everyone else in Fox was saying that, he was being more measured, saying how bad it was that we were going to get into war. And you know, probably thinking along the same lines as me, that I really believe the neocons suckered him into it. When I say suckered him into it, they probably did something that, let's say for example, I'm deep state, and you know for a fact that the DNC insiders, like Hillary Clinton, like Nancy Pelosi, they all want war against Iran, which is why when Trump didn't declare war because they destroyed a piece of machinery, think about how insane that is. That's when they wanted to go to war because he destroyed some machinery, but they got angry when he killed a general. Now, I'm not going to say this way or that way because I don't know that general personally in Iran. So, and I think it's very dangerous for anyone to suppose that they do, especially based upon American intelligence, right? Because we all know what American intelligence generally means, which is lies. They've lied themselves into almost every war. Now, this is not me being anti-American. This is me being a person who has his eyes open and sees things for what they are, and is not just going to cheerlead on one team because I like the way their colours look on their, I don't know, on their pom-poms. You know what I mean? Rumble, come here. Anyway, so instead of pandering to him and saying, "Oh, you go, President," like Sean Hannity would have done, and anyone else on Fox, he actually called him out. And I think because he watches Fox so much, he probably watched that. I think it probably also came to light that the deep state had fed him intelligence without giving him the full story, because he probably doesn't really know who that guy is. And why should he? He's not in the military. He's not. You know, you think about the amount of things he has to think about in a day. He's not originally a politician, so he hasn't been sitting there keeping tracks of politics all this time. He's been keeping track of business. So he shouldn't have to know who these people are. But he should expect that the people around him are going to give him the best advice, and I don't think that's what happened. I think these scumbags tried to get him into war. And also, because you got to remember, they never wanted Trump in power, right? They tried to fight him with Ted Cruz and Rubio and anyone else they could come up with, and they just couldn't do it. The DNC succeeded in suppressing their most popular candidate, but the GOP couldn't, and that's the only reason why we have Trump today, and why I'm actually pro-Trump, by the way. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I tried to place a bet. My brother wouldn't do it for me because he's a libtard in the UK. But I tried to place £1,000 bet, 53-1 odds, because I knew Trump was going to win, because the DNC's fraud processing unit were more effective than the GOP's election fraud processing unit. So I just had a thought. I hope this isn't upside down. Oh God, I hope it's not. Anyway, so because it does that sometimes. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah. So he'll watch Hannity. He'll watch Tucker Carlson because he watches Fox. And I'm just wondering if it did actually sway his opinion. If so, well done for being a real journalist. Because there's very few. Hey, how you going, Boris? Oh, 1 second. Yeah, so yeah, as I say, well done for being a real journalist, if that was the case. Now, that's all I was really going to get at on that topic. Really, is have a look at what Tucker Carlson's doing. Also, Krystal Ball, who left MSNBC. It's really good to see a lot of these journalists say, you know what, I'm not going to toe the line, because as I said in a previous video, those who jump ship first, these will be the trailblazers who make a name for themselves in the future media that's not going to be broadcast over the airwaves. It is going to be online, but it's not going to be suppressed and controlled by the likes of YouTube. And these people that get in first and create a name for themselves, that create a platform like Jimmy Dore, like Krystal Ball and The Rising, they're going to be the media powerhouses of the future. And the good thing is they've already shown that they're not corrupt, because they already turned away the hand, the corrupt hand that tried to feed them. So Rumble, this way. Hey, see, he's getting some of his hearing back. That's about it really, except for one thing I want to finish on is what happened with Trump. I think he de-escalated it because he knows he's been bum steered by the neocons, and probably in the background the neoliberals and the Nancy Pelosi, the Clinton creature side of things, and as a result, I think that he's actually saved his re-election. It's definitely going to happen again. If he had gone to war, he would have actually alienated some of his supporters, not just that, the other side as well, people like me who are actually on the left who support Trump. I don't care what anyone thinks about that, because if you're just thinking, oh, but he's so bad, just tell me in the comments what he's done that's bad. Because in my mind, he's only done a few things. There are a couple of environmental things. One is the... It's difficult to look at the whole tar sands and oil situation, fracking, that sort of stuff, because anything they get domestically stops it having to travel across oceans. So it's really difficult to say, unless you move completely away from oil, that getting oil from different locations is any worse on a global view of things, right? As far as the LGBTQZP malarkey, which I think is bollocks. I don't like grouping people in big groups like that. I think it's actually insulting. If I was gay or any of those other, I wouldn't be the last to the Z or the P. But if I was any of those other ones, I wouldn't want to be grouped in some kind of thing like some, I don't know, some zoo animal. So what was I going to say again? Yeah, what I actually think happened in the end is they probably spoke on the phone to Iran. Who knows? Maybe even, for all we know, they even wanted what's his name again? Soleimani killed. Who knows? You'll never know. He probably did them a favor. I think it was more the other side, where he saw something, an opportunity, and he took it. Because I used to have a CIO years ago, and me and the other two managers in these councils in the UK, we managed the IT department, and for two different government entities, right? And we couldn't get anything done while this silly cow was there. She was just an idiot. She was promoted because she was a female and because she was Indian. So it was the affirmative action double folded, right? So she'd only been there a couple of years. She got promotion through promotion, and people just watched her rising up from nowhere, from a biology degree, running the IT department, not knowing what she was doing. So I knew the only time I could get things, well, me and the other two managers knew that we could only get things improved when she went on holiday. So what we would do is I called it the sledgehammer approach, right? As soon as she went on holiday, boom, we would make major infrastructure changes. I was the infrastructure manager. We'd make major infrastructure changes and make major service changes. And then she'd come back from holiday. Oh, what's happening? You did that. We knew that she wouldn't let us do these changes, and therefore she would paint us into a situation where you were constantly firefighting because you could never improve, right? So we just basically sneaked around it, did a sledgehammer approach, made it basically... As a guy used to always say to me, I'm a square circle, round hole kind of guy. Yeah, well, I'll force something to make it work. And then once you have made it work, when these naysayers who come along and say, oh, you can't do that, it's impossible. Sorry, already done it, you useless piece of crap, right? Already done it. So go away with your small mind, because your brain can't handle the fact that something can be done. You can't project how something might look once it is done. It would take years for me to explain to you, and then even then you would talk yourself out of it again. There's no point. And this is probably what happened in the case of him. Who knows? I don't know. If he was a bad guy, end of the day, he's a general. He's paid to be a bad guy. That's what I have against it. But hey, in the end, it's just a single human being. Well, there's a few others that died with him. Lots more die in war. And hey, if we actually had a proper war, lots more would be dying. And I know that the DNC would love that, because it would be a constant flow of children for their paedophile network. And so I know that they're very upset. I know the neocons are very upset as well, because they're mutual bosses who are Raytheon and Boeing and companies like that, and British Aerospace. I know that these companies would have made a lot more money than they're making right now. They're still making a lot of money, because you notice Trump was talking about these missile defenses and everything. He was talking about new Look at this little guy. Come on, wee man. Come on. Better take my friend's bike back. So anyway, yeah. I just think we have dodged a major bullet, the world has. And I think in the end what really happened was some things happened behind the scenes. I think it's a mixture of maybe Trump backpedaling, knowing that it wasn't good for his re-election. I also think that that neocons tried to scum him over. I'm just summarizing now. And I also think what may have happened is that Iran showed that they actually can take out with pinpoint precision, given the fact they killed no one. I think that's on purpose. Targets around them, which means they could probably lay waste to Saudi Arabia, which would, even if it doesn't affect the flow of American oil, does affect the flow of American money, given the fact that it's the petrodollar and that they are the main OPEC nation, right? So you got to think about things on multiple levels here. They could have actually crippled America if they wanted to. You imagine they let off every rocket at once and completely destroy. I mean, you overwhelm the Patriot missile systems in Israel, for example. This is what I think may have happened, and it's probably the main reason why, if you looked at those goons behind Trump when he was giving his speech with the sunken in eyes, these are deep state kind of guys, you can just tell it a mile away. They had a worried face. I don't know if it's because he told them a new asshole, or it's because they were actually worried about what Iran could do. Iran was able to save face as well. No one wants to be that little cuck in the corner who got made a fool of by the government or another. You look at it on the playground when you're a kid. Some bully makes a fool out of one guy. The shame might cause that guy to go over and try hit the bully, and then he takes his eye out by mistake, and he ruins his life and the other guy's life. You know, things can escalate. No one. Shame is a surefire way to make terrible things happen. So never insult people to the state where they've got no dignity left. And this is why I think we avoided war. Booyah.